My name's Kally. I am from Pennsylvania, and I speedrun Super Mario 64. Growing up, I always had consoles and access to video games and lots of retro stuff. So I spent a lot of my time inside, but I never really got super into anything, super focused. I want to be good at this. But around when I was 14, I started playing Counter-Strike. And for the next 5-6 years, that was my main thing. That game taught me how to learn and how I work and how to push myself in the right direction. And the skills that I've learned from that have transferred extremely well picking up speedrunning. One day in 2014, I opened up YouTube, and on my homepage was Siglemic's GDQ run. Just recommended to me. And I was like, I played this game a lot as a kid. I didn't know what speedrunning was, but I clicked on it, watched it, loved it, and I've been following the scene ever since. I wouldn't say that there was exactly a moment in particular, but it has definitely been like a slow ascent where I've just noticed over time, it's like, oh, I really am doing this. I'm really getting close to the top. A lot of people will say that it kind of happened quickly. I disagree. I think I've just been extremely consistent with it, and I don't really show signs of slowing down. Honestly, it's hard to say. I don't know if it's something that I am just naturally good at or something that I learned, but it's very hard to describe to people my learning process. But I generally have a very good idea of when I think something is ready and when I feel confident in something. The main thing that I look for is to have a plan, be able to do the plan, and if the plan goes wrong, because it will go wrong, have another plan. And that's kind of just the philosophy I've taken with a lot of things. I'm more willing to mess around with a lot of strats that people write off, and I found quite a few that I think people should do. For a while, it was mostly just practicing individual stars and trying to be competent at that. And eventually, I felt like that slowed down my progress, so I moved to doing stage and segment RTA and just spamming those over and over and over again, just getting into the flow of just being like a robot, just kind of going through the motions over and over and over for the whole section of a run and piecing it together. That's what helped me for a while. But recently, I've adopted a strategy that Sweegie is making popular, where it's streaks, where you set a goal time that you want to hit X amount of times in a row. Usually I pick 5. Not something that's super difficult of a time, but something that will challenge yourself. And I've been finding that I've been learning a lot more about each star and how it ticks and how to go about it. He's been advocating it for so long, and I've been so lazy, and now I'm just like, dude, I'm so behind. It's the sense of progression, I think. It's something that you put a lot of time into, and it's something that you can always come back to, and there's just so many different things that you can do. If I'm not feeling doing runs, I can practice, or I can do another category, or I can just mess around. I can just run around and try to do something cool. There's so many different avenues of playing the game, and throughout all of them, you're basically practicing. And you're just constantly getting better. The main thing is to just don't burn out. The sense of progression is the main thing. It's extremely rewarding to be in the moment and be like, maybe you're in a slump and you're thinking about how terrible things seem to be and how you've peaked and everything, but you felt the same way 3 months ago. And 3 months ago, you were way worse. So you're just always improving. It's just always seeing progress, and I think that's extremely important for goals and just well-being in general. Every once in a while, I'll take a few days break. Honestly, I should be taking longer breaks more frequently. I've been feeling that more recently. Actually, the past month and a half, I have not missed a single weekday streaming. So just every single weekday, just constantly playing. And I've kind of felt the burnout, but pace is here. Nice break. I'm sure I'll feel much more energized afterwards, but I don't know. A lot of people I see are a lot of people will be coming up, and I'll see their progress, and it'll be very fast, but they burn themselves out. They go too fast. I think you really got to pace yourself. There's definitely an optimal balance. You don't want to be too lazy, but you also gotta take your time. So one of my favorite parts of the game my favorite pieces of movement is the red section of TTM 100. I do a different route than most people. I don't think there's anybody else that's doing the route. Actually, Taki does the route. Para used to do the route, but he doesn't play anymore. But basically, you spawn the red coin star later. How most people do it is it's kind of like how you do it in 70 star, if you've ever seen that. There's the cutscene of the star animation. It kind of breaks it all up. The way I do it is I spawn it later. It all flows extremely well. It's all really tight movement, really fast inputs, and it's just every single time I do it well, it's hard not to smile. You look over at chat and you're just kind of hoping that people see it, but you also don't want to admit that. You don't want to smile and look over and be like, does anyone see what I just did? It's always moving around. Currently, are we able to swear in this?
It's part of the community, man.
Recently, the hardest thing that I've been working on is assless. Some things you learn, and one day it'll be different, and you'll be like, what's the hoax today? What is today? What do I have to do differently today that'll make it work? With that strat, it feels like every 10 minutes something changes. And there has been progress, but it's been very, very difficult, and it's probably one of the stars that I've spent the most time trying to get the strat down. I know in SSL 100, the ledge grab on the inside of the pyramid, that took 2 or 3 weeks, just practicing every single day to get down. Same with the jump dive after the pawn in SSL Reds. Getting that angle, getting the speed, getting the Z press, that's frame perfect. That also took 2 to 3 weeks, and a lot of the time during it, you're thinking, I can't do this. But you get there eventually. The emotions change. Sometimes you feel way more anxious than other times. Sometimes you're just like, hey, I'm on a run. It's whatever. You're laughing, you're joking the whole time. Some people will say it's interesting that I can maintain a full conversation while on pace, and I can just be talking about whatever. It's not always like that. Sometimes it's just I get in the zone and I don't talk at all during the second half of the run. But it definitely varies. Sometimes you're thinking, this could be it. This could really be it. This is the run. People are going to be talking about this. I'm going to jump up so many leaderboard positions. But at the end of the day, you just kind of have to focus on what you're doing and just kind of keeping that part of your brain quiet and the part that says you're just going to mess it up. There's definitely a balance. I have a saying where I say that you have to give up all hope in order to succeed. And I kind of believe it, not completely literally, but there definitely is a part where once you kind of just let go of your ego and go, everything's okay, that's kind of when you play the best. Well, I played a lot of Counter-Strike. Still have a soft spot for that game, but team play kind of got old. Pretty much the only other game that I'm playing right now somewhat consistently is Battlefield. I've played Battlefield for a while. Fan of the series since probably 2013. But that's mostly all I play. Mario, every once in a while I try casualing some games, but it doesn't really go well. There's a game from my childhood called Pitfall: The Lost Expedition. It's actually the first game that I tried speedrunning. I made a tutorial for it way back when. Back then there was only one guy speedrunning it, and I basically just copied his video. I was like, this is how you do all this stuff. And years later, a community formed, and I got an email inviting me to the Discord. And it's like, oh, it would be pretty nice to come back someday and actually grind it out. It was insane. It's like doing DoorDash. You get an email. People are like, hey, this video you made 5 years ago. A bunch of us watched it. Dude, how do I want to say this? Oh my gosh. So the main things that I struggle with are depression and anxiety. There's a bit of ADHD. It's primarily inattentive. Like I zone out a lot and daydream. But that hasn't been as big of a problem since graduating school. And I don't really feel like that gets in the way a lot. But the depression and anxiety, definitely. And I'm pretty vocal about it because it's something that people should talk about. And I think that a lot of people do struggle with stuff like that, and they're kind of scared to be public about it, feel like it's attention seeking. And I'm sitting here saying that, and I feel the same way sometimes. But sometimes I just don't want to get out of bed, and that's okay. I don't have it super bad, but it is a struggle. It does get in the way of things. Anxiety prevents me from doing social outings and stuff. Like now. Sometimes it's really rough. Sometimes there isn't anything. For a very long time, it was all just pure passion. And that does run out. And it does get harder to deal with. There are things that can spark it, though, and can kind of bring it back. For example, I was very 1 foot in, 1 foot out for a while. I wasn't doing my due diligence with practice. And I was just kind of coasting. But then I heard that pace was happening again. There was going to be qualifiers, and I knew, hey, if you want to get into this, you're going to have to play a lot. You're going to have to stop slacking off. And it's stuff like that where that kind of gets you the kick in the butt. That gets you focused, that gets you playing, and you have a goal in mind, and that can get you playing for quite a while. And during those times, you often fall back in love with the game. And even afterwards, after the event is over, you keep riding that high. Oh, of course. Having something that I can always go back to and that I feel competent at, and honestly, people think this is kind of taboo to talk about, but having something that brings in revenue and something that I like to do, that's a huge relief stress-wise. The fact that there is such a strong community of people out there that are willing to watch your craft and support you doing it is extremely nice, because there's a lot of things that I can't do. There's a lot of jobs that there's no way I would be able to function doing with my anxiety and depression, but streaming and doing Mario, that makes it a lot easier. I just think I'm a tinkerer. Since I first started playing PC games and stuff, I was always messing around with the settings and trying to balance quality versus performance and just getting everything set up right. Same with stream quality. I always wanted the stream to be the best looking that it possibly could, often to the point where I would spend more time doing that than actually gaming or streaming. But it's fun. It's a nice challenge. It's just messing around with it and having this log in your brain of this setting does this, and this one does this, and this is how it affects it. It's really nice. And it's also nice because you can help other people. Some people, they're not interested in that stuff, and that's okay. But I can give them pointers and be like, hey, you should do this real quick. It's super easy fix, and I can help them make their stream or whatever way better. Definitely regarding to some things, yes. I do like it. It's a good feeling. It is funny seeing everybody start using the same input display skin, which, to be fair, I think is the best one by far. True balance, or like manually balancing your splits, just fundamentally makes way more sense to me. I mean, we talk about pace all the time. Well, let's use live split as a pacing tool. Let's not have the ups and downs and the asterisk of, oh yeah, my beginning's really good, but I have a bunch of time saved here. I think it should be more of a, if I play well for the next little bit, I can save time consistently. You never have to worry about it. It's always there. It's always on the table. You know what to expect. I think it's just better mentally. And honestly, when I first started doing it, and I see it with a lot of other people, I think they're kind of shocked at how far ahead they get. Some people will be minus a minute on their PB or whatever when they start using it and be like, oh, I can continue this run. Whereas normally I would have reset it. And I think that's really mentally healthy and gets you further in the game. Honestly, for a very long time, I didn't have any. But recently I got a new car. I've been learning about that because I want to work on it and take care of it. I got a guitar. Very, very slowly working on that, although I've been pretty lazy with that. Every once in a while I write. I'll think of something and just be like, I want to write maybe like 500 characters worth of something real quick. Just try to use as flowery language as possible without being super overdone, but it gets like the creative juices flowing. But yeah, other than that, not really many hobbies, but always looking for more.
So the writing that you do, is it kind of like poetry, creative writing?
Yeah. I don't follow poetry rules. They're just proses. I don't know how to pronounce it. Prose. Yeah. So I've just write a couple of those. A lot of them are pretty sad, but I think it's good to get out. Oh, favorite music. I'm very into pop runk. That's not a word. My favorite music is pop punk rock. I listen to a lot of Blink-182, Angels and Airwaves, all that stuff. There's a couple other bands and stuff that I listen to, but a lot of the more fast rock kind of stuff, that's my jam. Honestly, a lot of it was probably just the music that I listened to growing up. I played a lot of Burnout 3, and that music was very popular in that game, and I love that soundtrack, so it's no surprise that even today, I like that kind of music. Honestly, it's just, I've been discovering a lot more music lately, and I think being able to express it by playing it would be awesome, to be honest, even if it's just for myself. A lot of the time in the morning when I'm getting ready, I'll be blasting music and singing along, and the thought of being able to play the music and maybe even write it is very cool and interesting. I stole it. I saw somebody else do it and I was like, that's funny and I can do it. So then I just decided to do it.
What do you think about some of the reactions you got, like people saying you were destroying this mic?
Oh, it's a Blue Yeti. You could use the thing as an artillery shell. It still works. I used it today. I mean, yeah, there are people that are out there that are way less fortunate and they would love a mic like that. And I completely understand from that perspective, but it still works. It didn't do anything. Oh, of course. Sometimes I feel bad because people will post and be like, ow, my ears. But, hey, it's Twitter. Anything can happen, you know? You never know. Keep your volume down. But it is it's a nice difference to how I am on stream, because on stream I'm very stoic, very quiet. I don't say a lot. And then you go on Twitter and it's wild. I'm screaming. Just it's a completely different side people see. For a while I wanted to do skits and comedy and stuff, but never really had anybody to do it with. But I don't know, that stuff's very hard to do, but maybe someday if I had a nice group of people that were local and that were willing to do it, it'd be something that I'd be interested in doing. So I got Counter-Strike because I wanted to play Trouble in Terrorist Town in Gmod, and you needed Counter-Strike Source for the textures. And at the time, the Counter-Strike bundle was on sale, so I just picked it up. And it sat in my library for a while, and every once in a while I would just mess around and play with it. But one day I did it, and it just kind of stuck. And that ended up being my main thing for years on end. And that was my main focus. I always wanted to get better. I picked it up pretty naturally, and I just loved the aspect of outsmarting people and the just general game knowledge and awareness that you would have. And the teamwork, too. The teamwork was great when it worked out and there was no team drama, but that gets tiring after a while. But yeah, for a while I was trying to take it seriously. I was playing on teams. I was putting in a lot of work, but all of the people that I ended up playing with weren't on the same level of commitment as me. And after years of that and not finding the core group of people that I wanted to play with, I kind of felt like it was time to move on, and speedrunning, being a lot more individual and you just competing with yourself, it's a lot nicer. You're the only person that you can let down. Oh, definitely. I mean, looking back, Counter-Strike kind of seems like it was maybe it was a slow burn of starting to lose interest. Definitely at the time felt like it was just like that. Like, just one day I was playing every day and then the next I wasn't. So it's definitely a fear of, at any point, your hobby or your main thing you just decide, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. But I don't think it's worth worrying about, and if it happens, it happens, and I'll just move on to the next thing. I wish there was more, to be honest. There's a lot of things that I've deleted in the past that I would love to look back on. And like the highlight videos and stuff that I've made ever since 2016, it's very useful for looking back and kind of segmenting life. Because a lot of people have struggles with remembering what they're doing in a certain year and what they were up to. But I don't have that problem because a lot of that stuff is online, and sometimes I'll go back and the memories will flood in and I'll just remember how I was feeling and what I was doing at the time. I think the community is doing great. It's bigger than ever, very welcoming, as long as you aren't coming in asking to be fed everything and have somebody completely hold your hand. There's lots of resources, and you can get as involved with the community as you want. If you want to speedrun the game and talk to absolutely no one, you can become a top level player doing that. You don't need to ask people questions. There's enough resources and documentation that's out there to be able to do that. But if you want to interact with people, you can. There's lots of different Discords and servers and cliques that you can find and join, and you can find the people that suit you. And I think having a lot of people around is very nice personally, and there's a lot of camaraderie with getting better, and someone might be able to help you with one strat, you can help them with another, and stuff like that. Well, my current goals for Mario are just get to 138. I'm less than half a second away. After that, probably 137. I'll just keep going as long as I want to go. I'll just do what I want to do. Maybe I'll do 70 star. I don't know. But for overall goals in life, just be happy. I don't want to slave away doing something I don't want to do. So if I can make something work that I like doing, then that's what I want to pursue.
One more for an event best. There it is. Do we have a new event best? I think we do.
There it is, the 3X we were looking for, and Kally is going to be coming in with a 139.34.
Please, dude. Oh my fucking god, with a fucking death, dude. With a fucking death, man. Oh!